Kia ora, Chris from Pastmasters. Just want to jump on here and just remind people that there's a few ways that we can look after ourselves out there on the roads. We can look after our gear, we can look after our skills. One of the biggest things that we see a lot of people forgetting is actually looking after their bikes. And that doesn't mean just washing it. Because for those of you that know us, you know that that's the worst job that I have to do. Absolutely hate cleaning. But today we're just going to look at a little bit of maintenance, and brakes is where we're going today. Brake fluids changes on my bikes happen about every 6 months. Brake fluid itself, for those that don't know, is hygroscopic, which means it does absorb moisture. Now, although it's a sealed system, you do still get ingress past all the seals on the master cylinder. So quite often we get water in the fluid. That creates a lower boiling point and less effective use of the brakes. So what we're going to look at today is just a real quick how to change, a quick dirty drop and run. Now, although there are various tools along the market to help you do this, I've just thrown together the real basic tools we're going to need. An 8mm spanner, a Phillips screwdriver, a brand new bottle of fluid, always use new, can of brake cleaner, a tube and a catchment vessel and a clean rag. That's all we're going to need. Today we're going to be changing the brake fluid on both of these, the Ninja 400 and the Z900 RS. They're two different types of master cylinders. That's why I wanted to show you these. Real simple job, so let's make a start. Starting with the RS, we need to take out this screw and then take the reservoir cap off. So let's get that done. Normally when we unscrew the cap, having not changed the brake fluid for about 5 months, we're going to find, here we go, that's water ingress on top of the seal. So we pull this out. That's water, that's not brake fluid. So that's where it's very easy for this stuff to get in and get past this seal and make its way in. We'll give that a quick shake and then we'll give it a clean off. So we'll give the seal a clean up, just to wipe with a rag. We don't need to spray it with brake cleaner because the brake cleaner can affect the rubber, so that's not what it's for. We just use the rag, give it a wipe, get the water off, job done. So there are a few ways of doing this, but the way that I find the most effective and simplest is literally pop the spanner onto the bleed nipple. Give it a quick open and close. You'll notice no fluids come out. Then we'll put the hose on. Once the hose is on, we're ready to go. We can open the bleed nipple, and it only needs to open about 1/8. And then we should slowly start to see fluid creeping along. Here's a pro tip for you. When you open the brake fluid, take the lid off, it should be sealed. All right. Now, if you take the seal off, it's a lot harder to manage the pour. So what we do is we put this on the bench. And with the screwdriver, you'll see that I've stabbed 2 holes in the bottle. Now what this is going to do is create it really easy to pour. Let me show you. So with the 2 holes, it just pours really nicely out the bottom one with no spillage. So with the brake fluid topped up and the bleed nipple open, we're just going to work the lever in and out, keeping an eye on the level, making sure it doesn't drop too far. And you can see through the side that when we get down to about that bottom line, I'll top it up. If we go a bit further down, we'll see slowly the fluid travelling along the pipe. So we've topped it up again, pumping another full reservoir through. Now this time I'm going to hold the lever in, and then I'm going to tighten the bleed nipple. I'll use my foot because it's nice and easy. Then I release the lever and I squeeze, and it's solid. Nice feel on the brake. So I've got no air in there, it's a nice easy job. All we've got to do now is the other caliper. So we're just pumping the last bit through on the second caliper. And we just come down here, lock it off, come back up to the cylinder. Absolute solid lever, a really nice feel through there. So all that's left to do now is apply a little bit of brake cleaner to our cloth and just give it a wipe. Get rid of the excess. And now we'll do the Ninja. The 400 Ninja runs a fairly typical master cylinder. 2 screws on the top, take them out, pop the cap off, and there's our reservoir. It's really important with these that you have the master cylinder as level as possible. Now with this bike sitting up on the paddock stand, it's not super level, so we're going to take it off the stand and turn the bars very slightly. So now we've turned the bars, we've got the top of the master cylinder here sitting flat, so that when we take the cap off, we're not going to pour brake fluid everywhere. Here's a tip: don't force these screws. They're very small and they can get quite badly seized if they don't get any grease on them. So rather than force it, pop the screwdriver in, grab your variable pressure persuasion instrument, here it is, give it a tap. Once I've hit that, that should undo nicely. This is trying to do it all with one hand. Steering stems are perfect for holding screwdrivers. Notice I put a rag on the tank, it just stops things sliding off. A little bit of ingress of moisture in there. Straight to the rag. Right, there you go, nice and clean. The race bike fluid gets changed every time we do a race meet, but that's not to say it doesn't need changing now. It's been sitting idle for 4 or 5 months now. So we'll put the hose on the caliper and then we'll pump some through. All right, same deal as before on this one. We'll get our spanner on, quick open close, and we'll get our hose, get that on the blade nipple, open it up, and we already see the fluid start to move. We come back up the top and we work the lever a bit. And we just pump through a few master cylinders worth of fluid. Alright, it's important when you're pumping not to let that fluid level drop too low. So when it gets about halfway, that's when you want to top it up. So we'll top it through. Top up our fluid, see how nicely it pours out of that bottle. Work it through and then we'll lock up the blade nipple and we'll be done. Lock it up. So with the blade nipple locked up, we've got a nice firm lever going on again. So what we've got to do now, give the seal a clean, same as we did for the RS, pop it back in. We'll put a little bit of grease or oil on those screws before we put them back in, and we're there, we're done. Cool. So just with a rag again, we'll give everything a wipe with a bit of brake cleaner. It's around the master cylinder, and the same down at the blade nipple where we've just had a few dribbles of fluid. And we're done. So there's really only one thing left to do at this point. Finish your tea.